Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mindful Momentum podcast. I am your host, Robin Todd, and I'm so grateful that you're here today, and I'm so grateful for our guest today. I think it's going to be a really great episode for all of us to learn some really innovative things happening in the area of construction and mental health and well-being. And I'm so excited to say hello to Charlie Falkner. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, Robin. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for so much for being here. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Charlie, and then we'll dive into the question. Charlie is a third generation iron worker and is the business manager and financial secretary treasurer of Ironworkers Local 8. Are those three separate jobs, or is that all wrapped up in one?
It's three separate jobs and three different offices that
And you do all three.
correct. Some other locals, three different people hold those positions, but here at Local 8, kind of historically, the
Okay.
business manager has held all three of those. So,
Okay. You just have a little bit of work to do then.
yes.
Okay. Let's see. You've been in the trades for 27 years. You've been instrumental in leading major investments in the training and member development area, including a new 5.5 million training center in Marquette, Michigan. Charlie is from uh, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. When not advocating for well-being of his members, you'll likely find him outdoors pursuing one of his favorite passions, which is deer hunting. Hence the deer on the back of your wall.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm assuming you killed that.
Yes.
Okay, very good. How many points is that?
9 pointer.
That your biggest one?
Yes, it is. In fact, it
Oh,
was from this past year. So,
oh, nice. You had to stuff it.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Is that your only deer head, or do you have others like, oh, I see another one on the wall?
Yeah, both of those were from 2025. One was with bow and one was with gun. And I have many more hanging up in garages and cabins and stuff. So
Nice. Yes. And if I remember right, you have a cabin that you go to. Oh.
correct.
So is that land you own that you get to hunt on, or is that like other land that you?
Yep. No, I have 24 acres that my dad and I hunt on. So it's a nice little sanctuary to get away. And,
That's so great.
that's definitely part of mental release and my happy place. So I like to get up there as much as I can.
Nice. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. I know that you ran on because for those of in the construction industry know that you have an elected position. So you ran on the platform that prioritize mental health. You were very transparent, if I remember correctly. And so I would love you to share with us what was the moment or realization that made you say this has to be a part of how we lead? And how was that? It was obviously received well since you were elected.
Yeah.
But tell us like how that evolved into being kind of part of your real passion.
Well, once I started, talking about this subject and, wanting to start initiatives or, our mentorship program, but just bringing up the subject of mental health, suicide awareness, for not only our members, but, our dependents, spouses, children, all that. The amount of people that said, oh my gosh, yes, we need this.
Mhm.
How many people were, you know, just themselves struggling, and that, wow, just the amount of people that embraced it is really what encouraged me to really that we need to do something. And even, members, 40, 50 year members, in their 70s and 80s, either emailing or calling me and leaving me voicemails saying, I wish we would have done this 40 or 50 years ago, was very, humbling and enlightening that, oh my gosh, like every age range
Mhm.
is embracing this and want and need something, you know, geared towards mental health and making ourselves better.
Yeah, yeah. And I hear this, and I always think it's interesting how when one person starts talking about it, it just kind of opens the door. It's kind of like, I'm not going to talk about it, but if somebody else does, then I'm like, oh, I have the courage to say, yes, this is important. Because I mean, we can all agree we've all been affected, no matter our age, no matter, our ethnicity, our years of service, or wherever we are. I think we're all affected. So I love that people vocalize that. Yeah.
Yes, and in fact, one of our, or not one of our very first mentorship trainings we had, I'm pretty sure there were 20 people in attendance, and 19 of the people in there, a family member died by suicide. So just, that stat alone was very eye-opening,
Mhm.
and yeah, just once you start talking about any subject, right? Whether it's hunting that we just talked about, or mental health, or fishing, or whatever the subject might be, it's crazy how many people are affected by this particular subject. And it's, that's really what drew me to that we need to keep going with this
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
just capitalize on everybody's need to embrace it, and wanting to be part of it. So,
Yeah. Well, and I think you bring up a great point too, is you said something about members' dependents, their family, because that's the kind of 1 degree out, right? Because those affect all of us too, even if it's not me struggling, but my child struggling or my spouse struggling. I mean, we bring all of that to the job site, and we bring all of that with us everywhere we go. So it's not just about the member, but kind of that family unit as well. That's a really
oh,
important aspect.
absolutely. I mean, because that's what we're all working for, right? Is to provide for our families and make lives better for them. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah, family plays a huge role in all this as well.
yeah, absolutely. What do you think? So this is also what I have found is that oftentimes people get this openness and this initial kind of like, yes, this is important, but then, when you really start to roll out initiatives, there is resistance and there's kind of challenges, you know, facing ironworks. What are the challenges that ironworkers face? I've learned a little bit of them as I've began working with you,
Yeah.
which is always so interesting to me. I love learning about different professions and industries. So tell us some of the challenges that you face as an iron worker and your members. Um, but yeah, some of the things that hold people back from reaching out or addressing mental health.
Well, part of it, I hate for some reason using the word stigma, but sometimes you just have to.
Sure.
But it is the stigma of, men construction workers, and especially, tough iron workers, that they're too tough to talk or even bring the subject up, right? So that's, to me, a huge obstacle. But back to, being a leader, and bringing the subject up and talking about it normally brings it out of mostly everybody. So to
Hmm.
me, normalizing it, that it's not, that it is okay to talk about, that nobody is too tough to talk about it,
Hmm.
is huge. So that's definitely one obstacle. But of course, some of them are, if you do, if somebody does want to talk to somebody professionally, right, you have to take the time to do it. So that's a struggle. If
Hmm.
guys are working 6 7 days a week, 10 hour 12 hour days,
Right.
well, when do you have the time to do it?
Right.
Money, right? I mean, yes, our insurance, but some insurances might not cover it. So there's the money,
Hmm.
and then just the energy. Once you are working 10 12 hour days right now, so many parts around the country are working psycho hours.
Hmm.
Do you have the time, or do you have the energy to talk to a professional, at 8 or 9 o'clock when you get home after
Right.
you ate dinner, and all you want to do is jump in the shower and go to bed, and repeat the process?
Mm.
So those, I would say, are the main struggles. But I'm glad, corporate America, the construction industry, is, to me, somewhat normalizing now talking about mental health,
Yeah.
suicide awareness,
Yeah.
and just trying to get our minds and heads right. So it's, I'm glad that there is a cultural shift in that, and that definitely from, the new generation to, once again, the boomers are embracing it. So that's really encouraging to me
Yeah.
that, a wide culture of people are embracing this. And
Yeah.
I guess one other obstacle is still people thinking that we are babying people too much,
Mm,
and that they feel we shouldn't be like normalizing this, that people should be able to take care of this on their own, and by talking about it too much, and counseling and all that, that it's to them. I don't agree with them at all, and I've expressed this
yeah.
to them, that I don't agree with, that we're making people softer,
Yeah.
or that we're babying them. So that's
Yeah.
that's definitely another struggle.
Yeah. Well, it's an old mindset, right? Of just
Yes,
maybe how they were raised. And I think we always default to how we were trained back in the day, right? And
correct.
the things that made us tough and resilient, but times have changed, things are different now. And I can see that. And it's that fine balance of not giving people a pass, but also being able to, I don't know, there's just that space it's kind of delicate, but so important. Yeah. And I love what you said too about just even our culture, because I think the more we can get these messages in different places, then it all starts to kind of come together for everyone, in that, whether it's a commercial on TV, or my kid talking about it from school, or, talking about it at the union meeting, or, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think it starts to like, I don't know, just feel a little more comfortable, instead of just talking about it, once a month at the union hall and then not again, the rest of the month.
Yes. Yes.
I'm grateful for that. Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, I would love for our listeners to know, like, what are the hardships as an iron worker? Because when I was in your facility and I saw these pictures, and again, we know this, but all these iron pieces that are way up in the sky, just the hazards that go along, and I'm guessing somewhat fear. Uh, what are the things that iron workers have to face every day besides the long work hours? It sounds like, when things are, you know,
Well, yeah,
really,
long work hours, just horrible work conditions, I mean, from extreme temperatures, lows and highs. I've worked in 140-degree weather, or a facility down to, minus 30 on a wind farm I worked on. So I mean, the weather, is a huge thing.
yeah,
And with us being one of the, and I hope the other trades don't take this wrong, but one of the most physical trades out there, right? I mean, pain goes along with it,
yeah,
from early on to, 30, 40-year members, working in any trade for that long, you're going to have aches and pains. And, that's where addictions come into to play, unfortunately,
mhm.
to mask those aches and pains. And, and then it goes to, addiction and mental health. And
Yeah,
so
just
that,
spirals.
not only the iron workers, but all the different construction trades, I think the physicality and long work hours, and trying to provide a finished product. And you know most people are perfectionists, that they want things done right. So that's it's definitely part of the struggles for iron workers and all construction workers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not an easy industry for sure. The more I learn about it, I'm like, kudos to you. It makes you appreciate all the things, all the people that contribute to something, right? I mean,
Yes, yes,
we drive by these buildings and these, um, houses and things, all kinds of things, and you're like, yeah, you just don't think about all the hands that went into creating that structure, or that
yes,
company or building or whatever. So
yeah.
yeah, so grateful for
What
that.
one of the mottos I like to, on that subject you're talking about, one of the mottos that ironworkers like to say sometimes, or I see on socials, it's like, when people, I go to the office every day, but ironworkers built your office, so
Yeah,
it's,
yes,
I
it's
love that little
true.
saying.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so true. And again, it's an awareness for all of us to just be grateful,
Yes,
for all the trades, all the people who choose to
absolutely.
go into the trade so that we can have offices that are, run smoothly and have electricity and have all the stuff and the plumbing and all of that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about, so I know you've taken action through initiatives like your mentorship program. I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about your mentorship program, maybe even like how you came upon that, kind of what that looks like, the impact you're seeing, and any other initiatives that you've been rolling out. Because now you've been doing this for how many years, Charlie?
Of going on 4 years, I've been business manager. Yep.
Okay, which is great because, and this is one thing I was going to say earlier. What I really appreciate and love is that sometimes we can start things because we know they're important, but to keep them going is another thing,
Yes.
right? Because there's just all kinds of other things that come up and important things, and our attention can get kind of sidetracked or distracted, or we think maybe what we're doing is enough. So we just kind of check the box and move on. And so tell us what you've implemented, how that evolved, what you're seeing, and yeah.
So specifically on the mentorship program, the way I would say initially started off was to help retain apprentices
Okay.
because the retention rate was pretty horrible. I'm like, well, okay, well, let's start a mentorship program so that these punks, I'm sorry, newer people in the field. I call them punks because that's what
Yeah.
I was called, and
Yeah.
um, I might slip every once in a while and say that, but
In an
apprentices,
endearing way, I'm sure.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course, of course. The retention rate was horrible. So I'm like, well, okay, let's start this mentorship program to help them with, job site issues or how to steer them towards, the right benefit fund office or whatever. But then, so that was very early on in my tenure. But then, like, almost immediately is when I learned all about the mental health crisis in the construction industry. So I'm like, well, to me, that is more important than retention, or because I mean, a strong mental health will carry you on whether you're an iron worker or whether you quit, and you just need to be a leader for your family or just in society.
Hmm.
So one of the back goals was, you know, increasing the retention rate, but then the main purpose was for these people's mental health, the
Hmm.
apprentices, just starting off in the trade, and anywhere in our 4 year apprenticeship program. It's not like the mentees were only brand new apprentices. They were also just any apprentice in the program itself. So then, as of now, we've been through, the mentors have increased. We probably started off at about 20, and we're in the mid 30s right now. And
Nice.
after, so we've had 4 trainings, and the kind of interesting thing is, as we started providing this training, how to be a mentor to these mentees, right? More focusing on bettering the mental health of the mentees, besides like yourself and some other speakers that we've had, just realizing to myself, like, oh my gosh, well, the mentors need to be in a right state of mind
Right.
in order to help, whether it's their family members, the mentees, the people, underneath them at different locals or on the construction projects themselves. So it's kind of funny how it morphed into having better mental health for the mentors,
Hmm.
and then essence being better for the mentees, for somebody to look up to. And
Yeah.
back to you talking about something and people opening up. Well, maybe one of these newer apprentices or mentees is shy or whatever, and if you start bringing up, well, how you doing at work lately, how's things at home, how is your mental health. And if you start talking about something that might really, open somebody up to be willing and open to talk about their mental health and that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of really neat how the whole mentorship program started off and to where we're at right now. So it's really cool seeing that.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, I also just love how, I mean, sometimes our intentions, we can be thinking one thing, but we actually end up someplace else, which is what you realized is that we have to invest in our own mental health. They have to be in a good place in order to be modeling that and to have those open conversations. And honestly, I mean, that's such an important piece. And I think even in our society, in all industries, we always talk about we have to start with ourself first. But none of us really want to do that because that's the
Yes.
hard work, right? And I just tell me how to help other people. But it's like
Yes.
if it were only that easy, right? Because they're
Yes.
watching you and actually your actions speak so much louder than any words you can convey to people.
Absolutely.
But what a beautiful opportunity for those apprentices, the mentees, to be paired. So, does every person who comes in as an apprentice, do they automatically get paired with a mentor? Is that something and then are they with them kind of for the duration? How does that work?
Yes, correct. Is I shouldn't say immediately, but within the first few months of somebody starting, we know that they're going to stay in the program. Yes, they are assigned to a mentor,
Hmm.
and then so I guess kind of one thing back to the retention rate. Since I think December 1st, we've started 112 new apprentices, and we've retained 97 of them. So I mean, yeah. I mean, it's of course a number of things.
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully this mentorship program I'm sure it's
One
helping
of
it,
them. Yeah.
but and hats off to all of our mentors and our staff, our apprenticeship program, our, business agents, all that.
Hmm.
So we're very satisfied with our retention rate this last group that we've,
Hmm.
been starting since December 1st. They all
Hmm.
didn't start on December 1st, but
Yeah,
these last 6 months, we've started that many, and that retention rate is very encouraging for sure.
that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm curious as to any of your mentors, have they shared that they're using their skills with mentees? Are people I wonder, I'm just curious as if, and I know it's somewhat new, but is there a shift starting? Are mentees feeling a little more comfortable? Have there been situations where the mentors have been able to support the mental health of the mentees that you know of, just even in
Oh,
conversation?
oh, yeah, absolutely. And some, I'm not going to lie and say every mentor is perfect.
Of course.
Some half, I would say about half of them are field workers. So, and then the other half are, either salaried staff or, you know, um, elected officials or whatever.
Hmm.
So some mentors use it like on a monthly basis where they reach out and, um, remind the mentee to hand in their work reports on the 10th of the month. So besides that, reminders like, hey, how else is everything else going? Any
Yeah.
issues at work?
Yeah.
Did you get your initial eligibility requirements for your health and welfare, your health insurance?
Hmm.
So that's neat that, some of them use it in that regard.
Hmm.
But then as far as using it for specifically mental health, there's plenty of times on like I should say fortunately and unfortunately where mentees have reached out to just say a mentor, maybe not necessarily themselves, but like an apprenticeship coordinator or an agent or myself, that they're actually contemplating taking their own life. So it's, thank God they know that the resources were out there and our numbers to reach out to us.
Hmm.
So then immediately, we either go there physically and talk things through or just over the phone.
Hmm.
And, immediately we get them in touch with our EAP, which is team. And they're just an amazing resource for people that are struggling. And of course, all the services offered through a employee assistance program. But to me, their mental health support and side of their benefits they offer are bar none
Hmm.
some of the best in the industry. So
Yeah.
it's so neat for all the mentors to know, in a crisis situation, yes, we all know that there's the 988, but to have team on our side as well as our EAP is just phenomenal.
Yeah. They're
And
definitely a rock star in that
yeah,
space. Yeah.
I mean, we, our old EAP, we had a utilization rate of 2 to 3%, and their customer service absolutely sucked. And now we're north of 30% utilization rate for all of our members, not necessarily for, of course, mental health,
Sure. No,
but
yeah.
just all of their services. So it's,
What a great testament to them.
yes. I mean, I still remember sitting up in the UP I was at the end of a day, and then I just got back to the hotel. It was like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I still remember the parking spot I was sitting in, and a member reached out to me, and they needed to check themselves into an inpatient facility because were contemplating suicide. And I got on the phone with team, and because he couldn't find an inpatient facility, I got a hold of team, at, like I said, 8 o'clock at night. And by 9:30, an hour and a half later, they had him checked into a facility. So,
Yeah. Ugh,
who knows what would have happened that night if,
right.
maybe we couldn't have found him a spot. So it's
Yeah.
really, really neat to see that not only the members are reaching out in hopes that we have the correct resources, but that we do follow through,
Yeah.
and that, we do care about them and want what's best for them and to get them help. So,
Yeah. Well, and you can be confident that they're going to get the help and you're actually going to
yes.
get a person when you call. And so I interviewed Jennifer on a previous podcast, and their business, their how they operate, the whole model. Not to turn it into an infographic for or infomercial for team, but they really do have a model that is working and is really serving people well. And you're definitely getting your money's worth. I mean, just even with the utilization, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's great. Um, Gosh, there was something else I was when you were talking, I was gonna ask you, and I can't
Uh,
think of it. Anyway, I love it. I love that that your mentors are there for the mentees. It sounds like that things are going well, and yeah, that you're on your way to serving people in a meaningful way.
And I guess one thing I want to say about, back to that all mentors aren't perfect. We have had to have some step aside or, ask them to, not be in the program because once again, we aren't perfect. None of us are. And, they were struggling themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And,
And that's
one,
okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
One kind of neat thing, one of our current mentors, when I first started off, we had to go one of our biggest projects downtown Milwaukee, and I don't remember what issue we went there for, but we actually talked about our first mentorship training that just happened. I think the day before, or was it happening the next day? I don't remember. But there was probably 40 or 50 of us sitting on the ground level, and we're next to a 30-story building, and this worker that is currently a mentor now, he steps in the middle of the entire crowd, and he already had tears rolling down his cheeks, and he pointed to a 35 story that I actually helped build in 16 or 17 it was. And he said, see that building right there? He said, when we were up above 30 stories, he says, I was honestly thinking about taking my own life and jumping off that building. So it's, like I
Mm,
said before, him even being a mentor, he's like, this is so important
yeah.
for us to take this next step and provide resources and services for people that are struggling. So it's
Yeah.
it was really neat for him to step up and say that in front of such a large crowd and his coworkers, you know?
Absolutely. To be vulnerable enough to admit
Yes.
that. Yeah. And thank goodness he didn't choose that route and is now
Yes.
able to use that to inspire other people. Well, I know that's what I was thinking when you were talking earlier
Oh,
about
good.
what I think is so what I love about the mentorship program, which is similar to our peer support program, but it's this connectedness that we feel because we can like tell people in general, and we all are like this, right? It's not just you or you know or any specific industry, but as human beings, I can know that there are resources, but when it's just like generic, I'm not, I'm much less likely to reach out as opposed to a specific person. Like Charlie called me, or I know Charlie, and I know that he, cares about me, or at least I've had a couple conversations with him, then I'm
Yes.
much more likely to reach out to you when I need something or I'm struggling with something. It's that connection that we're all designed to have that you're bridging the gap to with mentors and certainly with our peer support, same type of concept, but helping people get to the place where they are to those resources and to help. And yeah, I mean, it just makes so much sense when you start talking about it. And yet our world does not, operate this way in many
Yes.
aspects. So anyway, so I love that.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah,
it.
on that subject, in fact, just a few short weeks ago, I had a not they weren't even my mentee, but just a newer apprentice that reached or they actually texted me during the middle of the day and said, "Well, how can I or when is the next peer support group meeting?" Because we also have those every other week at all three of our facilities,
Okay.
AANA and just general peer support group.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And he reached out saying, "When is the next one, or how can I sign up?" And I'm like,
Nice.
and I per it was like to me it was perfect timing. The good Lord's hand was in this one for sure. I was by my phone. I was able to respond right away, and then I think I maybe asked you want to talk tonight or something, so I can give you more details. So we ended up talking 7 or 8 o'clock that night, and he says, "Man, this is one of my worst days I've had in my life." And he says, "I was definitely thinking of taking my life today because it was either the 1 year anniversary of his daughter dying or she was going to be one
Mm-hmm.
that day." And she had, passed away from an illness or accident or something. I didn't, of course, ask the details,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just once again so, back to the Lord's hand being in it. It was I'm glad I was by my phone and he himself said it perfectly. He said, "For you to take the time out of your busy day just to even text me in the middle of the day, it just meant the world to him." So
Yeah. We
it's
don't
just
have to
crazy
do a
to
lot. We don't have to have all the
Yeah,
answers. We just have to pick up the phone and be there.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So I have checked in with him a couple times and he's doing better and well. And once again, used our resources to help him through these tough times. So,
Yeah. Oh. Well, and I feel like I mean, those are they're hard stories, but that's what keeps us going, right? It's the inspiration to know that you've made a difference in one person's life. Um, and it's not about quantity, it's about that quality of one person is one person, and their life is changed because of perhaps the conversation that you were able to have for them or just the listening ear, right? Sometimes
yes.
it's as simple as that. And sometimes we can undervalue that. Um, I feel like we have to know all those answers, and
Yeah.
we don't. Did you create the mentorship program, Charlie? I don't think I know. Or did you follow a framework that others have done? Um,
No,
is
I
kind
don't
of
want to say I created on my own. I definitely had some help within our staff and that, but no, I just had a brainiac idea. And, of course, we've been tweaking it ever since. And,
yeah,
you know, it, it's working at so many different levels. It's crazy. So
that's awesome.
our members are happy that we're doing it and hopefully it carries on
Yeah,
infinitely, so it's
Absolutely.
really cool to see it working.
Yeah. How many members are in Local 8?
Just a little over 1,000 active, and then about 1,600 with retirees. So
Okay. Nice. That's a large group. A lot of
yeah,
a lot of people. Yeah.
and our area is very expansive as well. So it's the eastern third of Wisconsin and the whole upper Michigan. So we
Okay.
have a wide range of geography. So
Which probably is not easy in keeping kind of the cohesiveness in terms of just
right,
you can't be everywhere as
yes,
a
yes,
team.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. So I'm just curious too, and this was a question that you may have an answer, but what has surprised you most about this evolution of investing in mental health and resilience? Is there anything that's surprised you more than what you thought or is different? It sounds like it's kind of been this evolution of sorts, you know. Yeah, what is or something even we had talked a little bit earlier like a disappointment even because I think anytime we have initiatives sometimes it's like, "Oh, okay, well, you know, we learned from the things that didn't work and know how to tweak
Yeah.
things to make them work or comments that people have had. I'm just curious if anything has surprised you.
Well, probably back to the that initial mentor training where everybody's either themselves or their family is struggling with something, right? I mean, once again, back to 19 of the 20 people, one of their family members or somebody close to them died by suicide, right? So, I mean, that to me, it's just crazy. As soon as you start opening up at these trainings at, sessions at International Foundation or other events I go to for the building trades that focus on mental health, QPR training. As soon as a room starts opening up, not necessarily this person talking about it, but the people in the room, it's crazy just how many people are struggling themselves or are, their family members going through exactly what you just talked about. I've been through two trainings through our international with just rooms of business managers sitting in, to me, one of the hardest jobs of any construction trade is being the manager of an entire local, right? I mean, I'm managing 16, 100 members, helping, of course, not just by myself and, three training facilities, a local union office, and just to know the struggles that all of those guys are going through or the business managers. And for, some of us still hold a monthly support group just of managers we get on a monthly call.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to support each other.
Yes. Yes. So
Yeah.
that to me has been the most surprising thing
Yeah.
throughout this whole process. And then, learning also that the construction occupation itself is ranks right up there with military and police and fire as far as the highest suicide rate for occupations out there in the world. But then specifically narrowing it down to all the trades, the ironworkers unfortunately lead
Mm,
all of the trades in suicide rates.
gosh.
So that was very disheartening, right? I mean,
Mm,
it's, our international claims it's a 7-to-1 ratio, guys dying on the job compared to those dying by suicide. So that is just
mm. Yeah.
a stomach churning
Yeah.
stat that, I don't want anybody to any trade to go through or occupation. So it's,
Yeah.
if we can save a couple of lives per year,
Yeah.
even if it costs us $1 million a year through our health and welfare, to me, it's worth it. So
Yeah.
any resources we can put out there to help people through,
Yeah.
or they're back to their dependents or spouses, right?
Mhm.
It's, we,
Yeah.
we, we did have a member that is his wife died by suicide. So
Mm,
it's just not men and it's just not,
mhm.
construction trade. So it's,
Yeah. Well, and I think those statistics, they're always surprising to me. Even when you're in this space of mental health and well-being, it's still just, oh, you're right. It's gut-wrenching. because we do have resources, but I'm sure it fuels your mission and your passion. I mean, we hate it, but it's like it also just gives you this sense of purpose every day. Like what you're doing is important. And
Yeah, doing an ostrich and putting your head in the sand is not going to fix or
no,
heal anything, right? Like it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. It
right.
just was not talked about. It was ignored. And well,
Yeah.
it's just another statistic, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's taking their own life. But now, like you're saying, it's really
Yeah.
cool to see the cultural shift in the world, really,
Yeah.
um,
But
on
I'd like
mental
to
health
say
awareness.
kudos to you for staying intentional and continuing the efforts because again, we can have that initial like enthusiasm to like, tackle it. And then the reality is like, all the other stuff can kind of start to take over. And there's certainly not a shortage of things that are important to take care of.
Yeah,
But to keeping it front and center, is a testament to your passion and commitment to this
well,
topic.
thank you.
I'm curious too, is as to like what do you see in the future? Like where do you want to be in terms of do you have a goal for your mentorship program or other initiatives that you're kind of percolating on or even just like what you hope to see in the culture of local aid? Like what are your aspirations moving forward?
Well, of course, I would love to see more and more mentors step up,
Mm,
and want to be in the program, and and even though people aren't taking the organized trainings that we do, of course, some people they tell me, well, I really don't have time to come to the training, even though we do pay them, we pay their wages and benefits to come to our training,
nice.
but they're like, well, I like to mentor my own way on the project, so I'm like, oh, great, so whether it's you know hey, make sure you grab a handful of, team stickers or the magnets to hand out, or the poker chips that have
Hmm.
988 on it, or
Hmm.
Teams QR code, right? So for them to even use the terminology, that we talk about at almost every union meeting, or, our apprenticeship orientations that we had over 200 apprentices at, you know, we had a
Great.
keynote speaker there, Mandolin Mall, and our team is there, so it's ingraining it in the apprentices heads from the get-go is
Yes.
huge as well. So it's not,
Yes.
they're like, oh my gosh, like
This is
this is
part
the
of it.
culture. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Hmm.
So it's of course. So back to your question, of course I want more mentors in it, um for it just to be more normalized and for people to accept it and embrace it.
Yeah.
And then and once again, maybe at a bigger level, having other trades, I've had plenty of other trades ask me, for like our syllabus or what trainings we have provided, where we started, and,
Yeah.
any resources that can help them start off as well.
Yes.
One thing I wish, so when I talked about our peer support group meetings, tied with AA and I guess any addiction recovery, whatever, it started off pretty well. I mean, we had over a dozen attendees in the first couple months, and it has died off quite drastically. In fact, we had to recently drop the meeting from one of our facilities because the person that was in charge of it, she was part of our, she was an intern as well and going to school, and
Mm. Yeah.
she ended up moving out of state. So I really want that to gain some ground.
Mhm.
I don't know how to get there exactly, but it's even the few people that do attend them, I know definitely it means a lot to them that we have that service to provide them. So I would like to see that gain some more ground as well.
Hmm. Yeah. So your peer support is kind of like a support group. So
Correct.
yes, so it's divided kind of into like addiction or is it just any addiction? Like
Just any peers,
any
some
struggle.
people came there talking about struggles with their marriage, so
Oh,
it's,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, another one of our facilities, somebody came that, hey, I'm having a problem with gambling right now.
Yes, that's
So it's,
becoming prevalent. Yeah.
we call it iron sharpens iron peer support group,
Okay.
going back to a, biblical scripture
Yeah.
on iron sharpens iron. But it started off as AA, and I'm like, oh my gosh, well, we just can't have it only be people
Limited.
addicted to
Yeah.
alcohol. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's hopefully we can revamp that
That's great.
somehow, and just gain some more ground and traction on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a wide variety of things. Just
Yeah.
whoever shows up that day
That's
can
great.
talk about, just to a peer that's struggling with something, right?
Yeah. And is that a peer supporter that's trained in how to kind of lead that group, or is it just somebody who's experienced something and is recovered? Like,
Not necessarily trained, but definitely seasoned in the addiction world, and
mhm. Yeah.
has been willing to step up and help lead that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
back to being
That's
able to talk to somebody that's been in your shoes and been able, be able to talk
mhm.
about how their struggles, and,
Yeah.
it's, because anybody that struggles with one addiction, darn well has gone through many different things throughout their life. So
Sure. Sure.
just being able to talk to somebody that's vulnerable enough to,
Yeah.
humble themselves and talk, down about themselves is pretty cool. So
Yeah, that's great. Well, I wish you well on that aspiration of
thank you.
like rekindling those and getting those going because it is true. I mean, it's so great to be able to have a group of people to know they can just kind of yeah share some of those struggles and like we talked about sometimes just talking about it helps us process it and be able to move forward.
Yeah.
So as we are kind of wrapping things up, I just looked at the clock. What I always love to kind of wrap up with two things. One is for someone who's listening today, no matter what organization they're in, whether they're in construction or maybe corporate America or anywhere, in a leadership role, what is one thing that you would recommend them doing to start, moving the needle a little bit? Like one small actionable step that they might be able to take, yeah, to start moving forward in addressing mental health and well-being.
I don't want to narrow it down to one. I'm going to just say two. The
Okay.
the big thing is listen. No matter what, if somebody starts talking to you, and this was a huge thing that we talked about at our last mentorship meeting that you were even part of. It's like you have to freaking listen. Shut your mouth. If somebody comes at you and they're vulnerable enough to tell you what they're going through, don't interrupt them and say, well, I went through this 5 years ago, and you go on and on for 10 minutes on your cousin Larry and Uncle Joe. And it's like, freaking listen. That's why God gave you two ears and one mouth. So definitely listen. But the other thing is, I guess, opposite of that is talk to your family, friends, loved ones, peers, supervisors, pastors, or professionals on what you're going through. Once again, none of us are perfect. Even,
Yeah.
like you're talking about in leadership roles, Robin. Whether you need help on, I just talked to a friend of mine on his wife does not have any hobbies and doesn't have an individual mental release,
Mm,
and she's a high up corporate gal that she doesn't have something to disconnect from work. So you need to talk to people about the struggles you are going through as a leader, and making sure that you get help for yourself so that you can lead everyone underneath you, whether it's in your personal life or in your professional life.
yeah. Okay. I love that. It's being an advocate for your own self-care.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and I do think you're so right. I mean, we get these really important jobs and high levels, and we think we have to have it all together. And yeah, well, none of us do, first of all.
Yeah.
And I think we think we're just too busy for self-care, which, we just have to we make time for what's important, and that's an important part of Not only you being here, but you being able to lead others well, which
Yes.
leads us to the last question. So, how do you take care of yourself, Charlie?
Well, one thing I wish in the state of Wisconsin we could deer hunt year round, but of course we can't. So that is definitely my mental release, but it's only 3 months, 4 months out of the year.
Okay.
But one thing I am so gracious and thankful for a mentor of mine 30 years ago, before I was actually an iron worker. He's now in his 90s. He was born in a lumberjack camp in the UP in Ottonogan, and he taught me early on the way to work every freaking day, turn the radio off and just prayer and meditate your entire travel into work. So
Mhm.
that is what I do.
Nice.
It's nice that I live just under 30 minutes from my house, or live 30 minutes from work.
Hmm.
So in the morning time, I leave my house about 5:30 ish every day, and I pray and meditate the entire drive in.
Hmm.
And even if somebody calls me, I more times than not just I'm like, well, I can call them when I get to work. So to me, that has helped for literally over 30 years of my working career.
Yeah.
And in fact, I even always hated working closer to my house
Because you didn't
because
have the car time.
I didn't
Yeah.
have that time, or
Yeah.
even when we're at conferences. I actually I try to stay away from where the conferences are held.
Hmm.
So I either have an Uber ride in or a nice, hopefully 15 to 20-minute walk that I can have my own time, because to me, I can't mentally like just sit somewhere and pray and meditate. I have to like either be driving or walking to like kind
Yeah.
of focus on that task. So
Yeah.
it's that to me is, and I try to tell as many people as that as possible, that hopefully somebody else will take that advice.
Yeah.
So it's really, really helped me
I love
in my,
that.
personal life and professional life, and my
Some
time with the
wise,
Lord is definitely precious. So
yeah, those are some wise words that were given to you. And I love,
yeah,
but you've been intentional about implementing it and creating a habit. That's what is what you're talking about.
yes,
Like
yes,
it's coupled with each other, so that's what feels comfortable. But I also love that even because at conferences, isn't it? It's so draining to be
oh,
on all day. Oh gosh, it's just exhausting. So what a great strategy that you've, implemented so that you can block in that time away and still
well,
get
right.
that. Yeah,
Because if you stay at the
amazing.
hotel, I mean, literally, the elevator door opens, there's somebody there that and it's like you're gonna have zero time for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
that's a great, and it's an easy thing for people to. I mean, even if people have a shorter drive, they can still, if it's a new habit that they want to start.
yeah,
Sometimes it is. Isn't it interesting when you just turn off the noise and just breathe and just have it quiet? Even is sometimes because
yes,
noise can be, uh, you know, distract us from thinking and feeling and, keep us from
yes,
really being still. But what a great strategy to implement. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
yeah.
And then you're hunting. That's beautiful, being out in nature and,
Oh my goodness, the
and
things I've seen and experienced, and just
mm,
sounds, and I mean, just
yeah,
smells, everything, right? The leaves in fall, and just
yeah,
everything about hunting to me is
mm,
just a sanctuary.
yeah. And people can implement that without hunting. I
Oh,
mean, there's so much
absolutely.
research about connecting with nature that's just so good for our health, mental
Yeah,
health, physical
my
health.
oldest daughter, she has a bad day if she doesn't get her walking down the trail and see deer and
Mm,
wildlife and flowers and sunsets, and yeah, it's
yeah. Helps us have
yeah,
perspective for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Great. Well, Charlie, it's been such a joy visiting with you. And I just applaud the work that you're doing and that you're continuing to invest in and your commitment to it, to your members, and to addressing mental health and well being. And wish you all the best with that moving forward. They are lucky to have you as a leader, and hopefully you'll be there, for I don't know how long your stint is, but hopefully you'll
Yeah.
be there for a while longer. And yeah, keep leading the
Well,
charge.
thank you very much for having me and you know, taking mental health seriously and as well and peer support groups and all
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
everything helps. So thanks
it
for
does.
having me, and it's been a pleasure talking with
Yeah.
you.
Charlie, really quick, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, because I don't need to be a middle person, if somebody's listening and they want to talk to you about something, how could they reach you that you'd feel comfortable sharing?
Either my email, cfalkner, CFALKNER @IWLA.org, or feel free to reach out on my phone number, 414-416-0426. I'm always here to talk to or listen to anybody
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
willing to reach out to me. So,
Well, and I so appreciate that. And I feel like everybody we have on is very open to that because as I share to talk with people, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. We got a lot of people doing a lot of great things. So let's just, pick their brain and implement one thing within their organization. There's no need to try and start it all from
right,
scratch.
exactly.
Yeah, we have to
Exactly.
support each other. So thanks again and have a great day. And we are here, the Mindful Momentum podcast, to inspire and empower your journey to living a life of mindfulness and resilience. And so we appreciate you being here. Certainly like, comment, subscribe, or feel free to contact me, Robin at mindful-momentum.com. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.